Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we are going to be talking about all the shows and movies, that kind of thing, that I have been watching for the month of April. Before we get started, I do want to mention that my neighbors over here are outside, and sometimes they talk quite loudly, but I gotta record a video, so hopefully you can't hear them. Hopefully the wall in the distance, but I can hear them. Hopefully you can't. Anyway, so what have I been watching? I think it's all good things. Let's see. Yes. I like everything that I watched. One of them did piss me off, but I'll tell you why in just a second. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. I hate that feeling. I hate it. Okay, hopefully I don't sneeze. Nope, I'm going to. Why? I hate when a sneeze builds up and then just doesn't do it. It's like whatever. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I watched it's a mini series, and it is called Manhunt. It's on Apple TV. Rotten Tomatoes score was 87. Audience score was 64. That's quite a huge difference, and I don't get it. Okay, so it stars Tobias Menzies, Anthony Boyle, and Hamish Linklater. Okay, one of the main characters, Tobias Menzies, I hate him. Okay, I always hated him because I used to watch the show. Oh, I can't remember the name of the show. I don't know. Let me try and look it up. But there was this show on Stars about this chick who traveled through time. What was it called? Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. It's a big deal on Stars. Whatever. It's about this woman who traveled through time, and her husband, way back in the day, was Tobias Menzies, and he was the worst person ever. The worst. So when I saw he was in this show, I was real mad, because I freaking hate this guy because of that one character. This guy is a great actor. Great, because he made me love him. Not oh my god, he's so cute, but I loved him as a person. So I no longer hate Tobias Menzies because of his role in this. And Anthony Boyle, I was where do I know him? Where do I know him from? And it was Masters of the Air. I watched that last month. I told you about it. He was in that. Very good actor. Anyway, okay, so this is a miniseries, and it's historical fiction, but it's is it fiction? I don't know. It has to do with some conspiracy theories that went on back in the day. Whatever. What is this show about? It's about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And I know that sounds so boring, right? That, first of all, that was a way long time ago. And it's everybody knows. John Wilkes Booth shot Abe Lincoln in the theater. That's it. But that's not it. It's so good. It's so good. It takes you back in time. Obviously back in time, because we're talking about Abraham Lincoln, but I'm talking about before the assassination, right before the assassination, after the assassination. It's just crazy. I love history, and I don't know, I just never really learn, you don't learn about all the details and stuff when you're in school or anything. But this is a really good show, and it I don't know, it just showed the life of John Wilkes Booth and his mind frame, and Abraham Lincoln's mind frame, and Secretary of War, I can't remember his name, but that's who Tobias Menzies is. And it just shows their mind frame and the type of people. And also it's really hard, okay, because Abraham Lincoln was assassinated like right after the Civil War. People, like the South, was like, okay, sorry, we're bad, and we're losing the war. Sorry, we'll surrender. You know, he was killed. Now I feel like I'm gonna cough. He was killed like 5 days after the surrender of the war. Hold on. It's gonna be one of those videos where I have to keep pausing because I either sneeze or my throat. Ugh. Anyway, let me make sure it's still recording. Okay, we're still good. I don't remember what I was saying. I don't know. I lost it. But I don't know. You just get in the mind frames of like all these people, and like he was killed so quickly after the, I don't want to call it surrender, but like where the Confederate people were like, okay, sorry, you're right, whoops. Oh, but it was so hard to watch because you know, like slavery and stuff, like people in the North were free, but people in the South were not. But even though people in the North were free, it's like they were not free. They were treated like crap. And it is so hard to watch. Like that is so enraging. And like I'm even thinking like I wouldn't even be able to act in something like that because I would just be crying like the whole time. And because I was just thinking about like, because the way that they had to treat some of these actors was just like, as soon as the scene went over, I would just hug them and be like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't know, it is hard, you know, but it shows like life back then, especially for a black person, just because you can't trust it, you know, because they're like, okay, here you go. It was, oh, it made me so mad. It still makes me mad. But they're like, okay, here you go, people in the North, you're free, and we're going to give you some land and a mule. And then after the assassination, Johnson, I can't remember his first name, but the vice president, Johnson, became president. He was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that because Johnson was evil. Okay, I think he was full in on the assassination or whatever. Anyway, he's like, you know what? These white people are going to get mad because, like, how can you give the black people just free stuff? Like, what? Anyway, so he took back the land. And these people were just left with nothing, nowhere to go. Like, they had to set up these, I guess, refugee camps or something. I don't know. It was so awful and, like, eye-opening. Like, what? I had no idea. And I don't understand why it got, audience score gave it a score of 64, because no, I don't know, maybe because it was slower and it was like, oh, who cares about the assassination of Lincoln, it was such a long time ago. But it's like, if you're a fan of history, you're gonna love this show. It is fantastic. And just if you want to know more about the country, okay, so good. But I guess it just depends on the type of stuff that you like, because like I would never tell my husband to watch the show because he'd be like, who cares? He's not a fan of history and stuff like that. He would just be like, who cares, you know? So I guess it just depends. But I absolutely loved it. Okay, the next thing that I watched was a mini series on Netflix, and it was called Ripley. Rotten Tomato score gave it 85%. Audience score gave it 82%. And I agree with the score. It stars Andrew Scott, Dakota Fanning, and Johnny Flynn. It's a limited series based off of these books. I didn't know that it was a book or anything like that. But when I saw the the title Ripley, I was like, that sounds familiar. And like when I read the description, I was like, this sounds familiar. And there was a movie like in 1999 called The Talented Mr. Ripley. I was too young at the time to watch that movie, so I watched it again because they're the same thing, okay? But the other one, the one in 1999, it's like an hour and a half long, or maybe 2 hours, something like that. But it stars Matt Damon. Matt Damon. And I watched both. After I watched the limited series, I had to go watch the movie to compare the two. And they're the same, but there's major differences. Anyway, okay, so this is a limited series. It's about this. Okay, it's about this guy who is hired by a man who thinks that this guy is friends with his son. He is not friends with his son. He gets him confused with someone else. And his son, this is like in 1961 or something, and his son, just after he went to Princeton or whatever, he just took a year off, but he never came back. Like he went to, I don't know, was it Italy? I don't remember. I don't remember where he went, but it was somewhere over there on the other side of the world. But this man hires the friend, or the person who he thinks is his friend, to go across the country to convince his son to come back to America. And this friend, his name is Tom Ripley. And Tom Ripley is a real bad guy. He's like a con artist. And at the very beginning, you see how he is conning people back in the day. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, why can't people just be good? Why can't people just be good? Why do you gotta con other people, especially old people, out of money and stuff? Like, ugh. So you immediately hate this guy, okay? And so he was gonna say, no, I'm not gonna go over there, but the dad had said, hey, I will pay you to go over there. I'll pay for your flight. I'll give you some spending money, And he's like, well, I have always wanted to go to Europe or whatever. So he's like, good, so go. So he goes and he bumps into this guy like on the beach, and he's like, oh, hey, we went to school together. You remember? I remember. The guy totally doesn't remember, but he pretends like, oh yeah, I remember. He doesn't remember. They end up becoming friends, and then Ripley tells him, yeah, so your dad pretty much told me to do this. I'm not going to do it though because I could see why you want to live here. It's amazing. So he tells him the truth, okay? Probably the one time in his life that he's ever told the truth. And his friend, or the guy, is like, hey, you should stay here, stay at my villa or whatever, and we'll just ride this out, string my dad along. You can get money, we can buy stuff, And this guy, he's got a girlfriend, and the girlfriend is Dakota Fanning, and she's kind of suspicious of this Ripley character. In the movie, she acts much nicer and stuff, but she's much more suspicious in this show. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the entire show is shot in black and white. And at first I was like, why? Like, are they gonna change it to like color or something? No, it stays that way the entire time. And I think it was like an artistic choice or whatever, but it works because it makes it so much more intense. And I don't want to say scary, but there are some parts that are like, you're worried. You're like, oh God, and it makes it more raw. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so he becomes friends with this guy, and they become best friends. But Ripley is like creepily obsessed with this guy, and like impersonates him, and starts wearing his clothes, and like at one point he's like he puts on the clothes and he's like dancing around, and I'm like, what are you doing? This is so creepy. And it's real awkward. Okay. um but anyway, so something happens between him and his friend, and he basically tries to steal this guy's identity and lives as him. He tries. um but it's just, it's crazy. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's crazy. It's much better than the movie, and I know that's shocking because Matt Damon is a fantastic actor. He's like one of the greatest. And he did do a good job as Ripley, but I don't know, I just like the show better. It I think it's because it gave you much more time to see who Ripley was and how he did the things that he did. I don't know. It's so good. If you've seen the movie, you're gonna like the show. You're gonna like the show. If you've read the book, I haven't read the book. I didn't know that there were any books, but apparently it's like a whole series. I don't know. I absolutely loved it. And I think I would watch it again. I was just gonna say, would I watch it again? But I would. I would. Even though I know the ending, it's like, it's that good. It's really, really good. Okay, so the next thing that I watched is a documentary. This was on Netflix, and it is called Lover, Stalker, Killer. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 100%. Audience score gave it 83%. Now, I didn't even know about this. I had no idea about this documentary. And I was listening to the radio, and it was this morning show on this radio station in Houston, and they were talking about this documentary, and the guy was just like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's super good. If you haven't seen it, watch it. So I watched it, and he was right. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So it's called Lover, Stalker, Killer, right? All right. So there's this guy, and him and his wife, it talks about him and his wife, and they got together when they were real young, and they just kind of like grew apart. They did have kids together, and they grew apart, and so they got divorced. I think it was like amicable or like night, I don't know, because she was in the documentary as well, and they seemed to talk very nicely about each other. It's just they grew apart, you know. And so she was gonna move to go be with her family, and so he's like, well, I'm not going to not be around my kids. So he moved as well, and he got a job as a mechanic at some place or whatever, and he decided that it was time to start dating again. So he created a profile online to do online dating, and he wasn't looking for anything serious, and he made that known with the people that he was dating. And so he went on a date, he meets this woman, so they become lovers, you know, and then I don't know, something happens, and they kind of like break up. He starts dating someone else, and then something happens, they break up, and he starts being stalked by this woman, and she is crazy, 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 crazy obsessed, and he sees her with some other girl and just loses his mind. And so he actually has to end things with this other girl, you know, because she's just so crazy, and she's like, I'll make it to where you can't ever see her again. No one will. And then she starts sending him texts about things that he's doing at work in the moment, and this woman came in to get her car fixed, and she was like, who's this woman you're talking to, and blah blah blah. And so he's looking around like, where the hell is this lady, you know? And she's like, I'll kill her, you know. She's like, I don't even care if she's a customer. You don't talk to anybody, because I'll kill him, and he's like, what in the hell? So I think he reports it, maybe. I don't know. But it it just goes on and on and on, and she just gets crazy, 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 crazy. And then there is an attempted murder, and it's so crazy. And just when you think you know the story, it just gets completely flipped, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And it's a crazy twist that I did not see coming, and I was like, what? uh I don't want to say anything else about it. If you like true crime, if you like documentaries, watch it. It's really, really, really good. Okay, the next thing that I watched is a show. It's not a miniseries. It's a show. It's also on Netflix. It's called Three Body Problem, and audience score, or Rotten Tomato score, gave it 80%. Audience score gave it 79. I think it deserved better scores than that. It stars Benedict Wong, Alex Sharp, John Bradley, and that is the reason that I watched this show, is for John Bradley, because he plays what's his name, Samwell Tarly on Game of Thrones. Sam, he's the greatest character on the show. I love him so much. Okay, so when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch it because he's in it. There's no one else in this show that I know except him. So, anyway, okay. I'm gonna read you the description. I wrote it down because I don't know how to describe the show. I don't know. Okay, so it says, a fateful decision in 1960. In 1960 China echoes across space and time to a group of scientists in the present, forcing them to face humanity's greatest threat. What does that even mean, right? Like, what? I do want to mention, when you watch this, like, if you watch it, within the first 10 minutes, your jaw is just on the floor. Like, what am I even watching? Okay. It starts out in 1960 China. Okay. And there, I don't want to say it's like a rally or a protest. I don't know what is going on. I have no idea, but there's this stage, and I don't even know if it's like government or like somebody's rising up against the government. I don't know, but it's crazy. And they're all shouting in a different language. So there are subtitles at the beginning and a little bit throughout the thing, but mostly it's in English. Okay. But at the beginning, you got to read subtitles, unless you know the language. But something happens that is just so shocking, and I don't want to tell you what happens because I don't want to ruin that part for you. It doesn't really have anything to do with the show, but it kind of does. I don't know. I don't know what to say about the show, because if you watch the trailer, you're gonna be like, what? Like, it doesn't even give you like any information about it. Like, not really. The only reason that I watched it is because I saw John Bradley in there. I had no idea what was going on. And reading the description, you're like, what? I watched this twice because it was so good. I binged it in one weekend, and then I told my husband, I'm like, you gotta watch this. And he watched it in a couple days. And he said that it was fantastic. And every episode it leaves you like, so you gotta click like watch next, right? Like, I don't want to say that it's sci-fi. It is sci-fi, but it's not. I hate sci-fi. This is sci-fi, but it's not sci-fi, but it is. Like, So I've got some keywords here. I'm going to say those and then just leave it at that because there's no way to describe the show. No way. Okay, so trigger warning. This isn't a very big deal, but it is how it starts out. Suicides, murders, science, aliens, space, video games, virtual reality. If you've seen it, you know my dilemma here. Like, what technology? It's so crazy. And also bugs. Okay, moving on from that, because if you want to watch something crazy and amazing, watch Three Body Problem. Please watch it because I want there to be a season 2. It hasn't been canceled, it hasn't been renewed, it's just up in the air, and I would love for there to be a season 2. There can't not be a season 2. There can't not be. So please just watch it just for me, please. Okay. The next thing that I watched is a limited series, so it's one and done. It's on Peacock, and it is called Apples Never Fall. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 46. Audience score gave it a 42. I don't understand. And I've watched it twice, and my husband watched it. If it's good enough for my husband to watch, it's good. Okay. But it stars Annette Bening, Sam Neill, Jake Lacey, Allison Brie. It has so many people in it. Okay, so Annette Bening and Sam Neill are a married couple. They own a tennis club or something. I don't know. And they are to the retiring age, so they retire. And at their retirement party, they seem just like, oh, the perfect couple. But then you see them at home and you're like, what's going on between these two? Like, something's up. Well, the wife, they have 4 kids, so she's the mom and the dad. There's a mom and dad in the story. I'm just going to call them mom and dad because I can't remember their names. I'm the worst at names. So mom is like riding a bike because she went to the store to buy apples. Okay. The next thing you see her riding the bike, you know, in this beautiful mega rich neighborhood and stuff like that, and the next thing you know is apples are everywhere. The bike is down and there's blood. Mom is now missing, and things seem weird because her 4 kids have been trying to reach their mom and she won't answer their phone. I'm like, what's going on? Because mom never not answers the phone, right? So they talk to their dad, and their dad's like, oh yeah, she's sick, you know, whatever. Mom's not sick. Mom is nowhere to be found. And so they're like, they get together, the siblings, and are like, something's not right. And they're like, they feel like their dad is lying, you know. And they're like, why would he lie? And they're like, well, then where's mom? You know, so one of the kids goes to the house to talk to dad, and dad has a huge scratch on his face, like real bad. And they're like, what happened? And he's like, oh, yeah, I scratched it with a plant. And they're like, what? Okay. Where's mom? Oh, she's out. She went shopping at the mall. Well, she's not answering her call. I don't know. You know, You know, your mom, sometimes she's just in her own head, and it's real weird because, like, where is she? You know, she is gone. Dad's acting all suspicious and lying. First she's sick, first she's at the store. Oh, she went to the grocery store. No, wait, she's at the mall. But then she's missing for days. He tells people, because he goes to play tennis or whatever, he tells them, oh, she's sick. They come in and visit her, and they're like, where is she? Oh, you can't go talk to her. She's real sick, you know, whatever. And then they're like, something is up. Something is weird. She's missing. What's going on? So the police get involved because she's been missing. Someone had reported her missing. It was either the kids or one of her friends, something like that. But now the dad has to answer to the police, and stuff's looking real shady and suspicious. And the show goes in the past and now, so it's constantly like then, now, then, now. And so you get to see their life together, and like, it is not good. Not good. This family, on the outside, they look like the picture perfect family, okay? But there's a lot of stuff that has been swept under the carpet, you know, and it all starts coming up. And there's a whole other side of the story where you're like, how does this play into the story? Because this mysterious woman shows up at their door, like, back then, and she's got blood on her, and she's a victim of domestic violence, and they bring her in. They have no idea who she is. This older couple who has just retired brings her in and lets her stay there and live there for weeks. And it's real shady. It's like, who is this chick? What is going on? Why is she acting weird? And why are they okay with this? Like, I don't know. Everything is very mysterious, and you're like, oh my gosh. And again, every episode leaves you hanging, so you're like, I need to see the next one. I need to see the next one. I think this came out like a couple months ago. I don't know, because usually I don't think Peacock like drops whole seasons. I mean, maybe they do, but I don't know. I feel like it came out a while ago. So, and sometimes I do that. I will wait a while to watch a show to binge it. Because waiting every week, it drives me nuts, you know. There's lots of secrets in all of the characters' past that come up, and it's just, So, it is good. It's so good that I watched it twice. And I didn't get mad at it until the second time I watched it. It was so good that I told my husband about it. We watched it. The second time I watched it, I was just like, this makes me mad. The ending made me mad because I don't know. It's not that it's like open-ended and an open-ended ending. It's just like, okay, so what? I don't know. It's like, I think maybe that's why it got such bad reviews or something. I don't know. I don't know. But the whole time, because everything's so mysterious, and I'm like, okay, it's got to deal with something with the title, right? Because it's called Apples Never Fall. And there's that saying that's like, an apple never falls far from the tree, right? And then at the end of the show, you realize what that means. You're like, oh, okay. So the title makes sense. It makes sense in so many different ways. You just don't see it until the end. But still, it's not a bad ending. It made me mad the second time I watched it. The first time I was like, oh, that was really good. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, wait a minute. I don't like that. I don't know. Okay, anyway. The last thing that I watched is a movie on Hulu, and it is called Poor Things. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 92. Audience score gave it a 79. It stars Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, and Mark Ruffalo. I had no idea what this was about. I would see little like commercial trailers for it, but I had no idea what it was about. And I know that it had to have been good because Emma Stone like won. I don't know what she won. She won awards for it. Okay, the movie won awards. She won awards. It was amazing, right? Okay, so I was like, well, I gotta watch it because it's on Hulu now. So I gotta see what all the big fuss is about because like the trailers just seemed so strange, like weird, But I'm like, it's obviously good, right? Like I don't know. So I watched it when I had nothing else to watch, and I almost turned it off because I was like, what in the hell is this? Okay, like what? All right, so first of all, do not watch this around children. Maybe don't watch it around anyone because it's so awkward and strange and like inappropriate, and it's I almost felt like I was watching porn. Okay, if you ever wanted to know what Emma Stone looks like, watch this. You will see every part of her in every different way, and I'm just like, I'm glad you won an award, because if you would have done some of this stuff and not won an award, would it have been worth it? It's crazy. Okay, so it starts out in color, and then it goes to black and white, and then it goes to color again. I think it's an artistic thing, I don't know, but it does work. It's like how I guess you see the world or something, I don't know, but it starts out, Emma Stone is like on a bridge or something, okay, and she legit purposefully jumps, and then the scene is over, and then it goes to black and white, and Emma Stone's name, her name is Bella, okay, and I'm just gonna tell you this one part. It doesn't ruin the film knowing this part, but I have to explain this part to be able to explain what the hell is going on in this movie, okay? So if you don't want a spoiler, just back out now. This is a spoiler, but it doesn't really spoil the movie, okay? It's just crazy. It kind of reminds me of like Edward Scissorhands, okay? Because there's like this scientist guy. And what is the time frame of this movie? I don't know if it's in the past or in the future or what the hell's going on. It's so strange. It's like, did Tim Burton make this movie? Anyway, okay, so Willem Dafoe is a doctor, okay, scientist, whatever. And you find out that Bella jumps and falls to her death, okay? But under the bridge is the doctor, Willem Dafoe. And so he sees her and he takes her back to his house, lab, I don't know. And it's like he brings her back to life. Let's just say that. I won't ruin anything else about that. He brings her back to life. But when he brings her back to life, it's as though she knows nothing. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know anything about her past. It's like she has been reincarnated. Okay, so he has to teach her. This is an adult-sized woman, and he has to teach her how to eat, how to walk, how to go to the bathroom, how to speak and stuff like that. And in the beginning, she's very infantile. Like she speaks like a child, like a toddler or something, you know. And it's very interesting. But at a certain point, she realizes that she's a woman and she has certain needs. And this doctor, William Dafoe, keeps her trapped in his house. But she wants to leave. She wants to go see other people, you know? And sometimes she most of the time, she talks about herself in the third person. Like, Bella wants to go out. Bella wants to see people. Bella wants this. Bella wants that, you know? And so he's like, no, you can never leave, you know? And he lets her go one time to a picnic. And then he's like, okay, we gotta go. Because I think he doesn't want people to see his Frankenstein, you know? But anyway, so she ends up agreeing to marry this other scientist who works under Willem Dafoe. And the scientist loves Bella and he wants to take care of her and he understands her situation. So she's like, yes, Bella will marry this guy. But before Bella marries this guy, she wants to leave with this other guy and explore the world. And then Bella will come back and marry him. And he's like, okay. So he lets her leave, which is completely insane to me. If you know one particular part of the movie, this is insane. It's insane. So when she goes, her world turns to color. So it's like she can see the world finally, you know, and see it in color, I guess. That's why I was like, I think it's artistic and symbolic or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, but she's with this guy, Mark Ruffalo, and I love Mark Ruffalo. I mean, he's the Hulk. I love him. I do not love him in this movie. In this movie, he's a sleazy, disgusting slime ball. Okay? Just the worst person. The worst person. And he's just traveling with Emma Stone. And they have a lot of relations. It was very awkward. I felt like I should not be watching this. Can we speed through this? Like it was just, what was I watching? I don't know. But for some reason, I couldn't stop watching it because I wanted to know what was going to happen to Bella and her experiences in the world. And let me tell you, they're not good. They're crazy. It's just completely insane. But you can't look away. You cannot look away. I think that's why it won, because you must know. And it really is a good movie. I don't think it needed all of the sex stuff, but it's like that stuff could have been implied. Like, I think it pushed it a little too far. But anyway, so yeah, it's good. It's awkward. It's crazy, but it's good. Would I watch it again? Probably not, just because once you know one particular detail, it's like you can never not know it again. You know what I mean? And then I don't need to see all that. I don't need to see all that, you know? But it's good. It's good. I would watch it at least once, probably by yourself, and no kids around, ever. Anyway, so that is all the stuff that I watched for the month of April. I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.